I did not target you in any way. I'm not, but I did lie. Yeah, for sure. And
how much money does she give you? Because I know there's other stuff.
oh, no. No. It's not like that.
Oh, really? It's not?
No, it's not.
What were you using that money for, Josh?
Well, that was, okay, so.
Is it your grandma's sport?
My grandma's what?
Your grandma's medicine?
Yes. When we were talking and my grandma was in the hospital.
Was your grandma in the hospital, Josh? At that point?
Oh my God, yes. She was most definitely in the hospital. She had an E. coli infection. And she had spent 2 stents in the hospital. And they wanted to send her to what they call the swing room, which was out of the area because they said that the insurance wouldn't keep her in the room.
You said she just needed, the insurance wouldn't cover the port and the medication from the port. And that you were going to have to drive her back and forth 2 times a day for 21 days.
That is all true. It's perfectly true. All that is true. And so they said that they were going to send her, or her port, if she couldn't come home, that they were going to put her in a swing. They called it a swing ring. And it was out of the area. And she was I was on the phone with her, and she's like, why can't I just stay here? And I talked to that lady on the phone, and she wasn't the insurance lady.
You didn't tell me that you talked with her on the phone, so you lied to me there. You told me that you were meeting with her.
Yeah, I did. We spoke on the phone.
No, you met with her. You told me you physically were in an office meeting with her.
I talked to her twice, once at her office, once on the phone.
A fucking week ago, you asked me to come up there.
I know. So they said that the port would keep her from having to go back and forth. And it was only 1,800, and I told you it was 26 to those.
All right, I have to comment on this part because I happen to have a lot of experience in this area. So I would assume that Josh's grandmother is over the age of 65, which would mean that she has that she's Medicare eligible. So if she was inpatient receiving antibiotic fluids, IV, twice per day, they wouldn't be, per Medicare, they wouldn't be able to discharge her if she was still receiving IV fluids. If for some reason, let's say she's not on Medicare, let's say she's under the age of 65, and her private insurance wanted to kick her out of the hospital, if she went home on IV antibiotics to be infused at home, she would have a PICC line inserted, and she would be given, a home infusion company would be sending her the bags of fluid. She would be trained on how to hang them, how to infuse them, how to clean it. And Medicare or her private insurance would be billed for that. She might have a deductible, but he goes on to say that basically she had to purchase the IV pump. That is 100% bullshit. 100% bullshit. If you go home with an IV pump, whether it's from the hospital, whether it's from home infusion, pharmacy, you are renting the pump. There's a daily rental charge. You're not going to get anywhere near $1,000. And that includes the pump and the drug. Antibiotics are not expensive. if she was on a very expensive antibiotic because she had some tropical disease that's not common, she'd still be in the hospital bed inpatient. They would not have discharged her. This is total 100% bullshit. Her grandmother had an issue in the hospital, and I believe that this was Josh's ploy to tug on her heartstrings. Oh, my grandmother is sick. My grandmother is in the hospital. Oh, she's going home on IV medication, but I can't afford it, or I have to drive her to the infusion center twice a day. No. It doesn't work like that. It just doesn't. And this is the problem with a lot of scammers and a lot of grifters, that they just make up a story that sounds good to them, and they don't even bother to fact check themselves. And they just assume that people aren't going to know what they're talking about, don't have any expertise in this area, and they rely on people. That's why they try to isolate you. They rely on people not asking others, not checking in with other people. How does this actually work? How does this work? No one buys an IV pump. Nobody, not even cancer patients, okay? No one purchases an IV pump. And I don't care what insurance she had, if it wasn't going to be paid for her to go home and be on the antibiotic, she would still be in the hospital. They don't force a patient to be discharged and then be driven back and forth twice per day to get an infusion. It's total bullshit. The Grab, do you have any comment on that?
Me too. This is how it went. Josh says, I got to go meet the hospital social worker and an insurance guy in an hour. I said, how do you feel about it? He said, annoyed. I said, yeah, sounds annoying. But do you get to see your grandma after? He said, yeah, I will. I said, that'll make it worth it. And then there are a couple emojis that are sent. And then he says, they want to set her up with this antibiotic pump when she comes home. I said, is it one of those things where you use it a couple times a day? And he says, it just automatically pumps. So yeah, kind of like that. I said, it's better than being in the hospital, huh? And then he says, well, then I send a picture of, like, I think it was something from YouTube, but my phone did this thing where it updated and it deleted pictures from before a certain date. So I say, is it real? He says, yes, it's real. I said, oh dear. And then anyway, back to this, it said, it's better than being in the hospital. He says, yes, she's coming home at 1. I said, yay, that's really great news. You all must be really happy. He says, LMAO, the pump is a no-go. I said, is that bad? He said, it seems I'll have to take her to get daily infusions, I think. Insurance paid for everything except that. And I said, so that won't be so bad, right? Sometimes doing home healthcare stuff can be kind of nerve-wracking, you know? He said, I'm sure it will work out. Just a lot for her to go twice a day, especially just out of the hospital. And I said, oh, and then he said, but she'll be home. And I said, that'll be great. He said, $2,400 for the pump for 3 weeks seems excessive. I said, that's 2 times a day for 21 days. He said, yeah, it's just on a timer and you just change the bag. It's hooked to a vein with a vein pick in her arm. It's like in a fanny pack type thing. And I said, what does her doctor think? Do they think it would be best? And he said, I didn't ask. And I said, would it be more convenient? Oh, he said, it would be more convenient, but that is a ridiculous amount. And I said, yeah, it's like $60 per infusion for that period of time. I guess that's kind of crazy, huh? He said, yep. I said, don't take this weird, but it's better. I said, don't take this weird, but if it's better and it's about the money, I can lend you the money, no problem. He says, oh, Jenny, it's too sweet. I couldn't accept that, but you made me cry. And I said, He said, "You're really too kind and caring. I would feel wrong. She's so special." And I said, "Is your grandma like mine, where like they won't go out of the house if they don't fix themselves up and look themselves up, like do their faces and stuff?" He said, "Yeah, it's a process." And I said, "Yeah, so like doing that 2 times a day for 21 days would be kind of a lot of hair fluffing for my grandma, at least." My grandma passed away of Alzheimer's in 2008, but she was like probably one of the most important adults in my life. And I talked about her a lot. And she was the type that she wouldn't leave the house unless she was like looking perfect. So that's why I asked him if his grandma was like mine. Yeah.
How much proof do you need?